Hey guys, we are live, and I don't know, I should just knock on wood and never say anything, but welcome to the writing sprints that we have every Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hopefully, I've got the right chat up there. It's always an adventure. I was recording a podcast just before this, and I think you guys will be really excited about it because I did drop the Writing Compelling Fiction podcast. I didn't do like a big announcement or anything on it because only so many hours in my day. It all adds up. Everything that I do all adds up. So nice to see you here, Heather. And yes, happy Friday. It's like I was on Tuesday and I was like, is it Friday yet? And then I woke up this morning. I was like, wait, it's already Friday. So it went super fast. It was just a busy week. And if I look tired, I am tired. I had a super, super busy week. And then a late night last night. I had a glass of wine. And when you hit a certain age, the wine just keeps you up all night. It doesn't let you sleep. I had literally one glass. I don't even think I finished the glass of like just a red sangria mix thing like you get at Aldi. Yeah, and it was just not right. So I've recorded two podcast episodes, and I will drop the link into the chat. I'm also going to work on this little box here when we go into our writing sprint to make the chat box a little bit smaller so you guys can see me a little better. Or I could be smart and move my camera. There's always that option too. Nice to see you here, Silver Ollie. The first episode that dropped was an interview with my daughter that was actually pretty personal and also talks about song lyrics and stuff. And because I am a shameless promoter, actually, I don't really promote that much when I'm doing stuff. I always forget to promote things. I do have a lyric from her today for the writing prompt to kind of talk about that and to give a shameless plug for the podcast that we did. The next one that's going to drop, and I'm not quite sure when, probably about 10 days to 2 weeks, is going to be about cozy mysteries. It's with Valerie Burns, who is an adjunct professor at Seton Hill College, which, if you are familiar at all with writing fic programs, Seton Hill has a really great one. She is one of the professors in the writing popular fiction, not writing compelling, that's mine, writing popular fiction degree program. And we talked about writing cozy mysteries and how she did hers. And she's got like 26 books. I was really impressed. And a lot of the things that go into this kind of a book to make it compelling and yet keep it on that less violent kind of side, which I think is actually harder than writing a regular suspense novel because you don't have like the really bad guy lurking around the corner to rely on. So it was a great conversation. We talked like a half an hour longer than I usually do. So I have a lot of editing to do to keep it within a reasonable amount of time for you guys to watch it. Hey, Pascal D. Nicola, nice to see you here. And yeah, cozy mysteries, I think it's an art unto itself. It's a lot like writing small town contemporary because you really do use a lot of that small town, kind of friendship sort of based thing. But she has to keep that suspense up like the housemaid does, and yet not do it with a bunch of dead bodies and violence. So it was a great conversation, and she's really engaging and smart and really loves the cozy mystery genre. I have a new light here that is in front of my face. I'm not sure how long it's going to last because it's really bright and it's right in front of my face, but like it's been dark looking inside my office and I'm not sure why. It's actually very bright in here. I have my overhead light on, I have ring lights, I have everything. But for whatever reason, the camera has been showing it as darker. And the camera screen, it looks just fine. Anyway, if this is your first time joining us for the writing sprints, what we do is we write for 15 minutes. I put on some music, I give you a writing prompt, and then we talk about writing in between. We talk about what we're reading, we talk about the problems that you're having with your writing. And this week's writing sprint is kind of a conversation starter so that you guys can kind of have some feedback in the chat part. And it's a great opportunity to pick my brain where you don't have to wait for me to have a regular Q&A or any of those things, which I definitely am going to have a live Q&A again in March. I was going to do it this Monday, but then I recorded a podcast that day instead. So I didn't have time to add all of that in. That's a lot of being on. You guys who have like a limited social battery, you would think that I don't because I seem really extroverted, but I absolutely have a limited social battery. When I'm done at a party, I am done and I am out. Like the minute I hit the wall, I'm done. I'm out. I'm going home. There's no like stay for 10 more minutes. I'm like, no, I'm out. And last night, I was at two back-to-back networking events, one that was very sparsely attended and one that was really crowded. And I got pretty overwhelmed at the second one very quickly and was just like, yeah, I'm leaving. So it was a good cause. It was a good event and everything else. But yeah, it's hard to be around people a lot. And my husband says to me all the time, he's like, why are you going to this? You don't even like people. Like, I do like people. I just don't like people for a lot of hours. That's the hard part, is having them for a lot of hours because it gets overwhelming. So yeah. And then I'll come home and I'm like, I hate people because I get so annoyed. I can't tell, I'm trying to adjust that light and keep the vision of it out of the camera's view, so you guys aren't like, what the hell is that sitting there? And Kestrel totally sympathizes, and hello, welcome to the sprints. And yeah, it's just like my battery's pretty low. My husband's is worse. My husband is a outing per week kind of person. And when I say one outing per week, I mean like one trip to Crumble Cookie for a dessert. We're done. We're not going anywhere else for the week. He is not a social butterfly at all. If you met him, you would never know because, again, he kind of presents as extroverted. And if there are people there, he will talk, he will engage. But yeah, we can't be going out to dinner two times in one weekend. That's too much. So yeah, he's a one and done kind of guy. And Kestrel says her and her husband are the same. And yeah, I'm way more like I'll go out 2 or 3 nights a week. Anything other than cooking, as much as I love cooking, by the time Friday comes, I am done cooking. I would rather cook Monday through Thursday and not cook at all on the weekend than anything else. And yeah, yeah, and I get it. My social battery is a lot higher than my husband's. So yeah, we're the same. And Heather says we're a very few outings per week person. Haircut, Cairo, grocery lunch with friends, home becomes a recovery zone. Yes. And I think for my husband too, he's doing PT 3 times a week. For those of you that don't know, he had a knee replacement December 1st, and it's like his eighth leg surgery. He was born bow-legged, and so he had to have, as an adult in his 30s, he had to have his tibias broken, which just sounds horrifying to me. I was not with him then, so I was not a part of that recovery. But he had to have his tibias broken and reset, and then he had to have partial knee replacements because, your knees rub the wrong way when you're bow-legged. Um, He's had so many surgeries. He has so many scars. So his recovery is a little harder than it would be for somebody else, but he's also worked out his whole life. So his legs are super muscular. So it's like he wants to progress so much faster than he can, but he's in PT 3 times a week. And I think that's pretty much his extent if I'm going anywhere at all. Me, I'm in Tampa 3 days a week. I'm at least 2 or 3 networking events a week. And then there's inevitably some social something, whether it's with friends or one of my kids or something on the weekends. So I definitely get a lot more socialization than he does. And Silver Ollie, after as a former teacher, after a long teaching day, done with people and meetings. Oh yes, I remember those days when I was a teacher. The kids will just suck the life right out of you. I loved teaching. Don't get me wrong, I loved teaching, but man, was I wiped at the end of the day. I don't know, see how anybody did it with kids and stuff. Like I didn't have kids at the time I was a teacher. It was so exhausting, especially the little kids. I subbed in elementary schools and subbed in middle schools, and then I taught for 2 years in a high school. I loved my high school students because they're a little bit more, I can engage with them a little bit more. The kindergartners, I actually hated doing kindergarten the most, which seems kind of counterintuitive, but the kindergartners were like, Miss Jump, you stole my pencil. Miss Jump, I drew you a flower. Mrs. Jump, I did it. And I was like, oh my God, get off me. They were cute, but a lot. Whereas the high schoolers, you can just be like, just go read chapter 9 and don't bother me. And they'll do that for the most part. So yeah. And middle school, forget about it. There should be a special level of sainthood for middle school teachers because everything you say those kids think is a dirty joke, even if they don't understand dirty jokes, and they're just so awkward and insecure, and they're still like kind of like little kids and super hyper and then trying to act like big kids. Middle school kids are a whole other level of hell to me to teach. So, and Maria loved teaching but hated admin. Yes, I agree with you. I hated the admin part too. I hated like the evaluations where they'd come in and watch you teach and then give you crap about, the way you wrote on the chalkboard. like, I don't think my former admin is watching me at all, but he's like, you should have made the 7 this way instead of that way because they may not get it. And granted, these were high school kids. I'm pretty sure they knew how to make a 7. Yeah, it was interesting. But I weirdly taught Latin and general math. So I filled in for a teacher that got sent to the first Iraq War way back in, oh my God, this was a long time ago, like 90, in the mid 90s. Um, he got sent off to fight in the first Iraq War. He was in the National Guard, and he taught Latin. Like, so you had all of the kids that were like the super achievers, valedictorians and stuff. And then I had the general math kids who were not stupid. They just hated math. And a lot of them were like kind of on the verge of dropping out. But I loved those kids. They were mostly really, really great. And we were just basically doing basic math skills for them because they had no interest in algebra or calculus or anything like that. They just wanted to kind of get their math credits and move on. And hey, I hear that. Math is my least favorite. I was really good at it in school, and I ended up getting bumped into the next grade's math class for like 3 years in a row, where I was in 6th grade taking 7th grade and 7th grade taking 8th grade. And then I was like, wait, what am I doing? Now they're going to make me take harder math all the time. So I stopped being so good at math because I despised it. I'm more of a creative kind of person thing. And yes, kids are totally energy thieves. They really are. When our grandbaby comes, and she's like 18 months now, it's a lot. It's a lot. So, but she's adorable and we love her. So, let me know too if you got what you guys are liking for social media lately. I'm really into Threads. I think it's because it's the text thing, and I don't know. I just like the community there a lot more. And I've been posting a lot more on there in terms of like just like written posts. I also started Substack. I shared that with you guys last year, but I come and go in terms of how much I'm posting on there because I'm not really getting any traction. Whereas Threads has definitely been more of a engagement rewarder, and I like the conversations more. And then I'm watching TikTok. I'm not really posting a whole lot on TikTok because it's impossible to keep up with all of them if you're trying to do it. And Kestrel, Reddit. Yeah, I have not tried Reddit. Probably a good thing. I have a Reddit profile, and I did like a few posts back when I set the profile up, but the last thing I need to do is add another app because right now, honestly, I have this app on my phone called Be Present that I pay $60 a year to tell me to get off my social media and make it difficult for me to get back on social media because I will just sit there all day, scroll, scroll, scroll. And if you want to override it, you got to go through 5 steps. And I really think it should give me 10 steps because I can go through those 5 steps pretty quickly. And Kestrel's only in one small subreddit, but that's probably really good because I do pull questions from Reddits on writing sometimes when I see them because they tend to be common questions that get asked on the channel. So I'll pull questions from them. And yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to keep up with, and there probably starts not melts, you know. Anyways, let's do a writing sprint. And today's, like I said, is from my daughter's podcast interview. These are actual lyrics from her song. I think this is from Wrath, which is one of my favorites. In the interview in the podcast, I play her music and I talk a lot about the lyrics. She is such a talented writer, and I tell her multiple times in the interview that she is a better writer than me. She really is. She's so good at capturing things. And if you guys like this, I could show you another set of lyrics because I had to choose between 2 different ones today when I was putting this writing prompt together. And I chose the shorter one rather than the longer one. But if you haven't seen the podcast and you want to see another set of her lyrics and something that I think is really brilliantly done, let me know because I'll show you a different one on the second sprint. So this is basically just 2 lines from Wrath by Funayure, which is her. It's Funayure. Funayure. I get it wrong all the time. And you would think she's been in the band for like 9 years, 10 years. You would think I would know by now. I always get it wrong. And I wanted to see what kind of imagery, what message you see in these lyrics, and how do you think you can use that in your scene? And I've got to just change my picture a little bit because it's covering the word lyrics. And it's just 2 little lines, and it's brilliant how she does this. So let's write for 15 minutes. I'm going to work on my book. You guys work on yours, and let me know how you can use that kind of imagery or use this kind of internal uh, struggle that she talks about in these two little lines, like 9 words, how you can use that in your book. was just about to do a dead body discovery, and the time ran out. So, hey, Kayla, nice to see you here. So, I decided to add a dead body to this chapter, and I think I'm going to add a couple others. I was reading a book last night that has a sort of similar plot to mine, but for a totally different motivation, and the GMC seems like it's similar to mine, but it's not. The underlying reasons for why the characters were doing everything is completely different than mine, and it gave me a great idea. So I was like, I think I need to add another body to this book. So that's what I was just about to do. So I will get to do that on the next sprint. I'm super excited about that because that's always really fun. The book that I read, by the way, was Everybody Knows, I think. And it was a very different writing style than what I normally read. It's a male writer, and I can't remember his name. And I don't have the book in my office right now. It's still sitting on my nightstand. Very short sentences, very Robert Parkerish, but with a really big edge to it. Kind of reminded me of To Live and Die in LA. It's set in LA, and it's people that kind of clean up other people's messes with PR and stuff like that. And my book's not that kind of that plot at all, but the characters has some things going on that were similar to mine. Anyways, it was a very differently written book, and I wasn't going to finish it, and because it was so different from what I normally read. Excuse me. But then I said, I think this is a really good story. And it was an Edgar nominee. So I stuck with it. And I was really glad I did because it had a lot of twists and turns. And it did have an ending that I didn't see coming and wasn't the ending that I wanted, but the ending made sense with the way that the book was done. So it was interesting. And I'm not sure what I'm reading next. I have that box of like 47 books, and I'm really, really trying hard not to order anything until I finish at least like 10 more of those. I do have a Barbara King Solver that I really want to read, but I think I might save it for a little while when I'm not working as much and I can have more time to focus on it. I want to get some warmer days here where I can sit outside and read that and stuff because I love her books, and I really would like to immerse myself in one and have enough time to read it from cover to cover. So let me know in the comments what you guys are reading, what you're enjoying. Oh, I forgot to put the link in to the podcast. Gosh, I'm just not paying attention today, am I? That and the podcast was just so much fun to do with my daughter. It really, really was. I'm going to have a separate playlist on YouTube for that, but it's also on Spotify. I don't think I figured out yet how to add it to like Apple and stuff. It's on Spotify. I set up an account on Buzzsprout with the podcast, but I don't think I set up distribution. I haven't gone back in there to check. Like there's so many little things you have to learn when you do these kinds of things. I was talking to somebody last night at the networking thing who's like, yeah, I want to start a YouTube channel. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. I'm like, okay, here's a list of 722 things you need to learn how to do if you're going to do that. Because being in the content creation space is challenging, but it's also fun because I get to do a lot of really fun things. So I encourage you guys to check out the interview with my daughter because we do talk about lyrics and how they're like little teeny tiny baby books, basically. And what you can learn from that is how powerful 9 words can be, or maybe that's 10 words in her little thing that I shared over there. I forget how, I can't move my little chat box. So it's they blah 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 blah, and now I've already forgotten it. Oh my God, what is wrong with me? What they walk on eggshells. I cross through walls. It took me a second to be able to read it because I had my chat box right in front of it. The walk on eggshells part is really all kind of about the other people around her. And then I crashed through walls. This was kind of all about some of the things that she went through when she was going through recovery. And she has had quite a journey. And if you or anybody you know has been through recovery, it's going to be a great episode to watch. My daughter actually now works in the mental health and addiction space. So I'm super proud of her. She has 7 years sober, and she's just doing so great. And she uses a lot of that journey in her music. And a big part of what we talked about in the interview was how you get into that real vulnerable space where you're writing about things that either have happened to you or that affect you, and how you write about it, because she's way better at that, frankly, than I am. She has learned how to really tap into these inner battles that she has just the they walk on eggshells, I crash through walls. The imagery in that to me is so super powerful. And I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on that, about what you're seeing compared to what I'm seeing. If you've already seen the podcast, then you know my answer. But what do you see in the they walk on eggshells and I crash through walls? And how does that relate to a character? Like, how can you take that and use that in the way that a character feels, the way that a character acts, the way that a character reacts, responds, how a character is impacted by somebody walking on eggshells around them? Like, there's so many millions of things that you can do with 9 words in your scene. So, created by Susan said, I have your book and workbook, and I'm eager to learn how to write fiction. I've self published primarily nonfiction and picture books. I have so much to learn. Yes. And I found that out the hard way when I started writing fiction, because I started in the nonfiction space. And I'll pull up the podcast link to my nonfiction interview that I did recently. And learning to go from nonfiction to fiction was super hard for me in the beginning, because nonfiction is very linear and it's kind of like an algebra equation, whereas fiction is more like geometry. I don't know, I got math on the brain today. Algebra is very much A plus B equals C, right? And nonfiction is very much like that. Like, here's my source, here's my point that I'm trying to prove, my thesis, here's my conclusion, here's everything that I'll put together with that. Fiction is much more like you're kind of thinking all over the place to try to bring it back into something that makes sense. And you're writing from your gut, not from your brain. So the hardest part for me to go from nonfiction to fiction was learning to let go of my brain. And here's the problem that you're going to have, maybe, like I did, maybe you won't. You're going to learn so much that then you're going to be worried about, well, do I show not tell here? Do I have enough conflict? Do I have enough motivation? And all those little rules get caught up in your head. And my best advice is write from your gut. If you read a lot of fiction, your gut will naturally tell you this is working, this isn't working. You may not know why it's working or not working, and you may not know how to fix it, but your gut will tell you, I don't know, this just doesn't feel right, or I don't know, I think I could do this better, if you naturally read a whole lot. So you will start to gain those skills, innate skills. But it definitely can be learned. It just took me a really, really long time. And hopefully the channel and the workbook and the book help everybody have a shorter learning curve for that. And the cool thing about this interview with Valerie is I met her at BoucherCon in New Orleans, which I went to back in October. I loved it. I highly, highly recommend an in-person writers conference if you've never been. Just being in a room with other people that speak the same language as you is just so awesome. So I was at a signing for Lisa Black, who was sitting next to her, because alphabetically it's Burns and Black. I know Lisa Black, and I was getting Lisa's book, and Valerie looks over at me and she's like, oh my God, it's Shirley Jump. I use your book. She uses writing compelling fiction in her class at Seton Hill, which is like, it blows my mind, because to me, when I first started writing, Seton Hill was like the place you want to go to if you want to learn how to write. And we ended up exchanging information, and it took me a while to reach out to her, but I was so excited by that. And the fact that she loves the book and uses it to teach people how to write popular fiction just blew my mind. Heather said she clicked on the link and subscribed to my daughter's channel, and looking forward to listening. My partner's a songwriter and musician. I'm interested to hear her perspective. It is really interesting to see how she looks at things versus me, and how she parses it down. And we also talk a little bit about the 2 books that we wrote together in there, the fiction that we did together, which didn't last long because she got her license and got a life and didn't want to hang out with her mom writing books anymore. So, Heather, our story is our teaching. I'm reminding myself of that these days. Yes, absolutely. And you have a chance to learn from your story and grow and change and become the person you were always meant to be, or you let it keep you stuck in the same space. On Threads, I've also shared some about what happened to me as a little girl, because I had this incident that I shared on, I think I shared it on Threads and TikTok and Facebook, when I was running on Saturday last weekend. And that just kind of brought up a whole bunch of stuff for me. And so I shared it there. And for me, when I talk about this kind of stuff, like on social media or to you guys or to other people, it allows me to, I don't know, kind of get over the hesitation of putting it on the page with a character. Not that my characters have the same history or past as I do necessarily, but those same feelings of being in a vulnerable space, being hurt, being unsafe, that kind of thing, being betrayed, all of that sort of stuff really starts to show up on the page a little bit more, because I've chosen to kind of work on it. I don't think you ever get past some things. I think you just choose to work on it and live your best life despite. So, and Kestrel, she's gonna be so excited to hear you bought the Before You Bloom album on Bandcamp. And yes, Wrath is a really good song. And as I was putting the podcast together and I was re-listening to her music to put it on there, because normally I listen to the whole album at one time when it first comes out, and then I have it in my like running playlist, so a random song will come up from here time to time. But when I was doing the podcast, I had to listen to Wrath and Before You Bloom and Empress and Living with a Ghost over and over again, because we were talking about them on the podcast. And man, I just really love those songs so much. Because like I'll listen to an album and I'll have this one as my favorite, but then when we dug in deep into the lyrics, I had such a higher level of respect for what she does. I have a huge level of respect for songwriters and poetry writers and short story writers, because writing short is really tough. Um, and thank you, Gayla. My daughter is awesome. I think she's just amazing. I mean, they're my kids, so I think they're pretty awesome. And my son is a ridiculously talented video editor too. And thank you, Heather. It's very sweet. And Gayla, I did meet Gayla at the Atlanta Writers Conference. It was super fun. And I did get booked to speak in March 2027 at I think it's called the Right Stuff Conference in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. So if you guys live near Pennsylvania and you're thinking about registering for that conference in March of 2027, I will be there. I will be doing a keynote. I'll also be doing some feedback sessions like I've done on the channel here. And I think I'm teaching one workshop. So they're going to have me pretty busy there. And so you guys have an opportunity to meet me there. I'm not booked anywhere else right now this year, besides Atlanta Writers Group. I think they are. I'm doing an online class on Monday night, and then next March on a Monday night in April, and then in March, and then in April, I'm doing online classes for them. I just taught one on deep emotional wounds in January, and I'm doing deep emotional wounds in your plotting in February, and then like taking each level of that a little bit further in the 4 classes that I'm teaching for them. I want to say AWC, but it's not Atlanta Writers Conference. It's Atlanta Writers Group or some coalition, something. I forget what they stand for. But anyway, if you have a group and you want to bring me in to speak, either online or in person, just reach out to me. I usually speak several times a year, and I do really love getting to meet other people. The only thing I don't like is going somewhere really, really cold in the middle of the winter. I went to Wisconsin once in like early March, and it was so insanely cold. Although I've been to Ottawa in March, Ottawa, Canada, and it was cold, but it was beautiful. It was kind of like the snow and frost and stuff that's really pretty. So anyway, I'm rambling about that. So let me know. Do you guys want me to do the other lyrics for the second writing prompt? Because I have another one, the other one that I was going to use. So if we use the other one, which I have to find it there, it's longer lines. And this is one from Empress, lines from Empress. And this section of Empress is just so heartbreaking. And Gayla, yes, the Atlanta Writers Group ones are virtual. There's 4 altogether. I already taught the first one. There's 3 more to come, February, March, and April, all virtual, all like towards the last Monday of the month. So, and Heather says yes to the other lyrics. And I will tell you that these are just, I don't know, heartbreaking, because of course she, like anybody, has written a lot about her personal life, and this was a breakup that she went through, and I know the backstory, so it makes me so much more heartbroken to read it. We talk about it a lot in the podcast interview about, how you take these things that you go through in your life and use it. And I just love the last line that she has here with this. Atlanta Writers Conference is virtual, yes. And the one I'm talking about, Gala, was not Atlanta Writers Conference. It's Moonlight Magnolias. Sorry. Like I spoke like 18 times last year. And the year before, I spoke 10. So I start to forget where I've been and where I haven't been. And Lehigh Valley in Pennsylvania, I have spoken there before, but it was when my first book came out. So it's been a really long time, I think a couple decades since I've been there and spoken as the keynote. So I'm very excited about that. I think it'll be fun. Um, so, all right, because Heather voted, and I'm just going to go by Heather's vote, we're going to use the other lyrics for this. And let me know what you think and what this pulls up for you and what you think you could do with your character, because this is all about longing and heartbreak. And it's just so amazing. we go. I got my dead body on the page. Didn't get to have everybody react to it yet, but got the dead body there. And I'm mumbling the whole thing with working on that. I've been trying to write every day, and I was thinking that I should be doing a series like on TikTok or Instagram or something about writing every day because it's been hard to find the time, right? Like you got to get up. I got to get up earlier, get up before work, get some time in there. Like most people, I work full time doing that other company that I do. And then on the weekends, I edit videos and film videos and all of that stuff. So writing every day is always super hard. Um, but I love it so much. So I definitely think I need like some accountability so that you guys can keep me in line and getting me to write every day. The proposal that I turned into HarperCollins, I haven't heard back on yet. So that book isn't actually due until like end of summer. So I've got time on that. So I'm not as motivated to start that one, just in case my editor has changes. I don't think she will, but she might. So I don't want to get too deep into it and then have her, say, oh, let's take out this plot or let's do this plot this way. So I could nudge her, but then that means I have to start working on it. I'm having so much fun with this one that I just put the body into. So, I forgot to put in the other link for you guys. I know I shared it last week, but this is if you are interested in my nonfiction career and in how I tell a story with nonfiction and how that works. That's what this podcast was. It feels like I'm everywhere lately. So this is the podcast where I talked about my nonfiction career, the Elite Advantage pod. And I can't type and talk at the same time. So there's that one. And then I'll go back and share the link to my daughter's the podcast episode with her in case anybody came in late on that and missed the whole thing. So tell me what you guys think about the lines that she had with the inhaling your cigarette smoke is as close as I'll get. Just love that line. Interview with my daughter. Let me know what you guys think about that. And because it was I thought just brilliant. So I'm going to try to do like 2 or 3 episodes of the podcast per month. Probably closer to 2, because to film a video every week for YouTube and edit that, and then also do the smaller content and kind of keep up with popping into the community and all of that other stuff. And then filming the podcast and editing that is a lot to keep up with. So I don't think that I will have like weekly episodes with the podcast in the beginning. I think I'm going to have to find some outsourcing for editing. I think I told you guys that I lost my son who was my editor. No, not lost like that way, like lost him to the company because we hired him full time. And we have enough work at the company that he doesn't have time to throw my videos into the mix. So I'm back to editing my own videos. So if they're not as good, you know why, because he's a really, really good editor. I don't know. I think I've got to bribe him somehow. But he just moved in with his girlfriend. Like he's been really busy with life and stuff. So I have not even asked him. And Heather said, Renaissance woman. I don't know. It's just like busy woman. What I like about everything that I do, though, is the creative outlets. Like when I'm doing the channel, I get to be creative with talking about the topics that I do, and I get to talk writing, which I love to talk writing. When I'm doing an editing thing, I get to be creative with that. I had to learn an entirely new creative skill set to do Canva and to do video editing because I didn't do any of that before. Before I started the channel, I hired out graphics and I hired out anything else that I did, and I had no video really that I'd ever recorded. I'd had somebody try to talk me into it 10 years ago. Should have listened to her, should have done it. But anyway, so I didn't have any experience in those areas, and I had to teach myself CapCut and teach myself Canva. And they do make it easier now. Like a lot of programs are using AI to do stuff. But yeah, it was a lot. And then the company that I run, we get to do a lot of creative thinking and a lot of brainstorming and a lot of funny, dorky stuff. You'll see me share videos from Building Success Productions once in a while on my Shirley Jump pages. I don't share them on Write Better Fiction because they're not talking about fiction. I do share a little bit about that Elite Advantage podcast on Write Better Fiction because it does talk a little bit about my story of how I became a writer. But yeah, you'll see me share those. And those are some of the dorky things that we do at work. Like we go out to lunch and we talk about it, or I'm doing this whole series on growing seeds. We also did a pirate podcast where everybody at work talked like pirates, and it was hilarious and stupid and just so much fun. So those kinds of things are really, really fun, and they allow me to be creative in new ways. And after 30 years of being a published author, I think it's 30. Yeah, 30 years of being a published author. It's been a cool thing to be able to be creative in new ways. Because, yeah, my very first nonfiction book came out, I believe, in 96. Might have been 90. I think it was 96. Um, Maybe it was 98. I don't know. It's been a long time. I don't even really keep track of that stuff. Um, because it's just so many projects, so many things. And I never have been very good at that, like record keeping, not my thing. I've always intended to do like a scrapbook of all the times I was in the paper or in a magazine, or, had my face in my book somewhere, like, because they've reviewed my book in like First for Women and Women's World and stuff like that. And I never got around to it. So, and when I'm retired, I'm probably going to be working in my garden or working on a book. So I don't think I ever will. And my kids have heard more than enough about my career just from my YouTube channel and some of the work that they've done for me on that I don't think they're going to care when I'm dead. So, so that kind of stuff I forget about. I can't even tell you what day certain things happen. There's just a few things that I really remember the dates because I talk about them often, or they've been in speeches or things like that. But for the most part, I can't even tell you what day I had the New York Times list without looking it up, because I just don't pay attention to that stuff. They're fleeting moments, right? And in the scheme of things, yes, the credential is great. Not going to lie. Saying New York Times bestselling author or USA Today bestselling author next to your name is a great credential, and I will have it forever. But that's not a moment that makes any difference in how you write or what you write. It can make a difference in which publishers pick you up and things like that, but it's a fleeting moment, really. It doesn't have a long range impact on anything. I wish it did. It does look more impressive. I think readers take it as a mark of quality when really it's just a distribution and getting lucky at the right time with the right phase of the moon kind of thing. But it hasn't, it didn't change my life per se in any big, meaningful way. It did help my career, but it didn't change my life, if that makes sense. The day I hit the New York Times list, the next morning, so I hit the New York Times list like on I don't even know what day that comes out, like a Tuesday or whatever. Next day I get up and my dog had eaten all the chocolates under the Christmas tree and had messed on the entire set of white carpets we had on the first floor. So that's how I spent my first day as a New York Times bestselling author. It kind of brought me down to earth. It was not fun. But I haven't noticed that it made any difference in the way I write. So the creative part is the part that I love about this job. It's not the accolades. I don't do it for the accolades. I sure as shit don't do it for the money. And I don't do the channel for the accolades or for the money, because there's not a lot of money in YouTube. Like it makes like $150 a month, the channel itself. It makes almost nothing. It certainly does not pay for itself. But I do love being able to talk writer with you guys. I do love being able to help you guys. I do love being able to say, hey, yeah, I can help you with that question, or yes, I'm feeling that same struggle as you guys are. So that's the parts that I really, really love about this work. It's the creativity, it's the people, it's the interactions, it's the talking about something that I love to do so much. So anyway, I think I talked way more today than I normally do. Well, you guys will say I always talk a lot. See, because you guys are just doing a chat box. You're not able to interrupt me per se. So I get to just blather on and on. New video coming out Monday. I cannot remember I know what I talked about. I talked about being successful in 2026 as an author. And I don't know what's the other upcoming ones. I can't remember what I recorded, because what I do, as we all know, with the technological issues, is sometimes I'll record like 5 videos and forget to check that my audio is working. And then I'll realize I've recorded all this stuff and it has no audio. So I have to go and re-record it. So I forget what I've recorded and what I haven't. Anyways, next podcast episode with Valerie Burns should drop in about 10 to 14 days, and we'll have a video Monday, and I should be here next Friday. So I'm excited, and I appreciate you guys for joining me. As always, it was awesome, and you all are really fabulous. So if you have anything else you want to drop or talk about, drop it in the comments, and I will answer it on the channel. Have a great weekend.